They always told me I was trash. I just never thought they'd go so far as to prove it in front of strangers. It started on a Thursday, the kind of Thursday where everything feels wrong. My 6-year-old son, Levi, had just come down with a fever again. I was already 2 hours late to my cleaning job because the sitter bailed last minute. I called Mom, thinking, foolishly, that maybe she'd step in just once. "You expect me to babysit your bastard while your sister's spa day is today? Are you deranged?" she snapped. I held the phone away from Levi's ear. "He's your grandson. He's sick. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are watching this video." She laughed. "He's not mine. He's yours. You chose to be garbage. Don't whine when the stink chokes you." I hung up without another word. Levi sat on the couch, flushed and sweating, his little hands tugging at his dinosaur blanket. I couldn't cry in front of him. I never did. I just wiped his forehead, gave him water, and held his tiny hand as if that would cool the fire in both our lives. That weekend, my parents invited me to a family picnic. It was suspicious. They never invited me to anything, but I went. Mostly because Levi deserved to see what a family could look like. And maybe, deep down, I hoped they were trying. We got there, and everything looked staged. My dad had rented speakers. There was a bounce house. My sister Brittany, of course, arrived in her new convertible, squealing about how Mom and Dad are the real MVPs. Nobody looked at me. My name wasn't on the welcome board. No one asked about Levi's fever. He stood behind my leg, peeking out. Then my dad raised a red plastic cup and yelled, "Everyone gather round, time for the family roast." People circled. I felt the hair rise on my arms. Dad pointed to me. "And here's our proudest disappointment. She brought her own trash to the party." Everyone laughed. I froze. Levi looked up at me. "Dad," I whispered. "Oh, don't look so serious, sweetheart," Mom purred, grabbing Levi's other hand. "Come help Grandma with something in the back." I should have run then. They led us behind the park, toward the alley where the trash bins stood. A few cousins followed, pulling out phones. I thought they were taking pictures of Levi's cute dinosaur shirt. Instead, Dad swung open the giant green dumpster lid. "Your room's ready," he grinned. "What?" Before I could blink, he shoved me backward. I stumbled, hit my elbow on the side of the bin, and tumbled into sticky hot garbage. I screamed as the lid slammed above me. Levi screamed too, outside. Then another thud. Levi landed on my legs. I clawed upward, banging on the plastic from the inside. "Levi, baby, are you okay?" He sobbed into my shirt. Outside, I heard Dad's voice, loud and cruel. "She finally found where she belongs, in the trash. Maybe now the rats will have company." Someone clapped. A cheer. Then silence. Steps faded. The air grew thick, and the lid stayed shut. The stink of rotting meat mixed with the scent of Levi's hair. My son whispered, "Mom, are we garbage?" My throat closed. I couldn't speak. I held him tighter than I'd ever held anyone in my life. My skin burned with rotten juice, but my soul boiled with something else. They did this in front of people. They humiliated us like we were props in a joke, like we weren't even human. That was the day I stopped hoping they'd change. That was the day something in me broke. But it didn't break like glass. It broke like the ground before an earthquake. Quiet until it moves. By the time a kind stranger lifted the lid, 40 minutes later, we were coated in shame, sweat, and silence. He was a janitor named Mr. Ron from the nearby church. He didn't ask questions. He just gave us his sweater, drove us home, and muttered, "You let me know if you ever want help with something serious. I seen things like this before. Trash ain't the one in the bin." I tucked Levi in that night and sat beside him until he slept. Then I opened my old notebook, the one that had my emergency plan, the one I never wanted to use. But they made their choice that day. And now, they had no idea what I'd become. I didn't sleep that night. Levi tossed beside me on the mattress we called a bed, still mumbling in his dreams, "We're not trash. We're not trash." I stared at the ceiling until the sky shifted from black to orange. Then I got up and opened the notebook again. It had been sitting in a box for 6 years, untouched, forgotten. The first few pages were messy notes from before Levi was born, back when I was still in school, back when I had a scholarship, a future, before I met Liam's father, before the pregnancy, before my parents said, "Well, now you've earned your place in the garbage." Back then, I had a dream, a business plan. I flipped to the last page. It was still there, written in pen. Restore and Rise, Mobile Disaster Cleaning and Recovery. A company that would clean up trauma sites, storm-damaged homes, ruined spaces. I had drawn the logo myself, a phoenix rising from broken glass, but I never had the money, never had the help. They made sure of that. The next morning, I texted Mr. Ron. "When you said to let you know if I ever needed serious help, I'm cashing that in." He showed up 2 hours later with black coffee and a beat-up laptop. He looked at me like a father should, not disappointed, not disgusted, just present. "What's the plan?" he asked. "I'm going to clean up everything they tried to ruin, starting with myself." He helped me apply for a small community grant. We pitched the idea. 2 months later, it was approved, just enough for supplies, a van, and insurance. I didn't tell a soul. I kept going to work at the diner like nothing changed. I scrubbed grease while my company slowly, quietly took root behind the scenes. At night, I trained. I read every manual, watched every video, practiced using equipment Mr. Ron brought from the church's supply closet. By month 4, I had my first client, a single mother whose apartment had flooded. She cried when I didn't judge her. She cried harder when I charged her half price. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Because people treated me like I was the mess," I said. "But I know how to fix things now." Word spread, slowly, quietly, and I let my parents keep thinking I was still worthless. Brittany got engaged that winter. They rented a banquet hall. Mom posted on Facebook, "One daughter makes us proud, the other disappeared. Guess which one we love?" I didn't reply. They didn't know I'd just signed a contract with a major property management company to be their exclusive cleanup service. It wasn't flashy, but it paid real money. The kind that changes lives. One afternoon, I picked Levi up from school and found him staring at a kid's backpack. "Why don't I have one like that?" he asked softly. It was Spider-Man. Bright red, not expensive, just new. I swallowed guilt. "Because you're gonna have something better soon," I told him, and he did. 2 weeks later, I took him to the store and let him choose whatever he wanted. He cried when I said yes to the matching lunchbox. "You don't have to pick just one anymore, baby," I said, kneeling beside him. "We're done choosing between crumbs." By the time Brittany's wedding came around, my company had 6 employees, and a second van, and a wait list. Then came the message. Mom, of course. "Mom, don't embarrass the family. Brittany's wedding is high class. Wear something dark so you blend in. Also don't bring your mistake." She meant Levi. I didn't respond, but I had my own plan now. 1 week before the wedding, I went to the reception venue and spoke to the manager. As it turned out, they needed a full sanitation team for the hall the night before. They were having trouble finding reliable workers. I handed her my card. "We can do it. Full team. Half price." She blinked. "That's generous." I smiled. "Let's just say I have a personal interest in making sure the space is clean." She hired me on the spot. The night before the wedding, while Brittany and Mom drank champagne, I and my team scrubbed the venue spotless. I knew every corner, every outlet, every fuse box. When I saw the wedding seating chart taped to the wall, I saw that I'd been assigned a table outside the tent, near the bathrooms. And Levi? Not on the list. Of course not. I took a deep breath. I wasn't there for revenge, not yet. Not directly. But I did take something, a photo, of the seating chart, and something else, a little access card that the manager had given me, in case of emergency. I slid it into my bag. The next morning, the wedding began. I didn't show up. Not at first. But someone else did. A delivery man, wearing my company's uniform. He handed my mother a white envelope with, "To the family who left us in the trash," written in clean black letters. Inside were 3 things: a printout of my company's latest bank statement, a photo of me and Levi standing in front of our new apartment with home painted on the mailbox, and a single note that read, "The dumpster is empty now, and so are your seats in our lives." That's when I walked in, not in rags, not in shame, but in a suit, with Levi in a tiny matching one. Heads turned, Brittany's jaw dropped. And my father? His face drained of color like blood abandoning a corpse. But the worst part? Levi didn't even look at them. He just whispered, "Mom, can we go home now?" I nodded. We turned around and left them standing there with their fancy table settings, empty hearts, and nothing left to throw away. A week after Brittany's wedding, my parents showed up at my new apartment, not with flowers, not with apologies, with papers. "We need your help," Mom snapped, waving a wrinkled document in my face. "Your sister's honeymoon got canceled. Her husband's accounts were frozen. They say it was fraud, but it's probably just a misunderstanding." "And?" I asked, arms crossed in the doorway. Dad stepped in, trying to sound sweet. "We just need a place to stay until it clears up. Your apartment looks decent enough." "You want to stay here?" I said slowly. Levi stood behind me, gripping the wall. Mom's voice rose. "Don't act like you're better than us now. You wouldn't even be standing if we hadn't raised you." "You didn't raise me," I whispered. "You buried me, then locked the lid." They barged in anyway. Dad dropped his duffel on the floor. "You owe us. You owe us for years," Mom added. "Food, housing, everything." "You mean the food I never got?" I said. "The housing you kicked me out of?" Mom ignored me and walked into the kitchen. "Where's the guest room?" she called. "There isn't one," I said. "Well, you and the boy can share a room. We'll take yours." Levi looked at me, eyes wide. My hand trembled. They thought they could just walk back in, reclaim space they never earned, but they had no idea who they were dealing with anymore. That night, I packed Levi a small backpack. We got in the van quietly. By dawn, we were gone, not fleeing, setting the stage. I called the same landlord I'd worked with on one of my cleanup contracts, a nice old man who owned the same apartment complex where we lived. "I have a strange favor to ask," I said. By noon, he called me back. "They moved in," he chuckled. "Didn't even ask questions, left their stuff everywhere. You want me to change the locks?" I smiled. "No, not yet." Instead, I waited. Let them unpack. Let them feel safe. Then, 3 days later, I called the sanitation team. My team. We arrived in 3 vans, in uniform, with gear. The neighbors watched as we pulled up with hoses, gloves, sealed bins, and a big sign, "Property under biohazard cleanup." Mom opened the door in a robe, her eyes wild. "What is this?" I stepped forward. "You said I owe you for shelter." "You're right. I clean for a living. So I'm here to clean up the mess you're making." Again. She looked past me and saw my crew putting plastic sheets over the lawn, taping off the entrance like a crime scene. "You're humiliating us!" she shrieked. "You humiliated me," I said. "In front of crowds, in front of your friends, in front of my son." Dad stormed out. "Get out of here with this circus." "Don't worry," I said calmly. "You'll have the place to yourself again soon." He grabbed the sign and ripped it down. But it didn't matter, because by the time the neighbors started whispering, it was over. I left a notice taped to the door. "Dear residents, due to policy violations, unsanitary conditions, and fraudulent behavior reported by nearby tenants, this unit has been flagged for review and corrective cleaning. Please vacate within 24 hours. Technically, it wasn't illegal, because I still held the lease. They were squatters, and I simply exercised my right to remove them using legal notice and a very loud, very public cleaning job. By nightfall, they were gone. Again. Only this time they were the ones dragging trash bags down the curb. Brittany showed up an hour later in heels and tears, demanding justice. "You ruined everything!" "No," I said. "I cleaned everything. You just hate seeing yourself in the mirror now that it's spotless." She called me a monster. I turned to Levi. "Do monsters tuck you in?" I asked. He grinned. Only if they make pancakes after. We walked away, hand in hand. No cameras, no applause, just silence. But a real kind. Not the silence they gave me when I screamed. The silence that means peace. The next month, my company expanded into a second city. And Levi? He got his own room, with blue walls, a real bed, and a door he could lock if anyone ever made him feel unsafe again. No dumpsters, no lids, just windows, and the sky above, wide open. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are watching this video.